Yo, 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 I am incredibly sorry. I really wish I had more choices than fucking Comcast. I
Skype
promise you,
Comcast combo.
God, dude, I would get a new internet provider like fucking that, Mike. But nobody in my area offers anything close to the speeds Comcast does, so I have to put up with this shit. But at least it hasn't happened in a while. But thank you guys if you stuck with us and you're back. We appreciate it. Sorry this video doesn't have a cool intro, and for time reasons, we're just gonna lock back into where
Rock
we
on
were.
through.
Yeah. So, all right. We were talking about Tanaka and Covey and a cheap Yankee stack. I said
Sorry.
that I can fit this stack, a Castro, Headley, and Bird stack with Madison Bumgarner, and that's kind of where I was looking at. So that's going to be one option. Uh, I am.
Um,
I'm not looking at Tanaka at all today.
yeah, he's been not looking very good at all, honestly. Headley in the two hole is new. I feel like they've been creeping him up a bit.
He's been playing
Obviously,
well.
yes, and so is Castro. And I would imagine that I, I would have rather had Castro and them kind of switch. Castro in the two, Headley in the five. Could be just lefty right thing. But yeah, he's been playing really well. I think if you're looking at a cheap stack here, it's 5 through 8. But
For
I
what it,
like Headley.
for what it's worth, sorry, I just want to mention if you look at these numbers here, right? Historically, Castro at home versus righties. I mean, none of these numbers are green. I'm basing a Castro decision on two factors. One, it's a cheap play in this stack, and I need cheap bats if I'm going to play Madison Bumgarner or Clayton Kershaw for that matter. And he's been playing well as of late. Now, obviously, this is a 3-year running average, so a week's worth of play will not move those numbers dramatically. So there is going to be some regression to the mean, but
Mm-hmm.
why not ride the streak while it is there?
Yeah, he had a really good April last year too. I'm not sure if that happened in Chicago as well, but also the factor of positional scarcity on this slate. I mean, you have Altuve and Murphy who are just kind of doesn't really matter what slate it is. But after that,
Thank God I
it
don't have
doesn't
to
look
watch.
very it doesn't look very appealing as far as second base today. So perhaps that's another reason why Castro stands out.
True that. There really wasn't a lot of options. I mean, I was looking at it. Do I want to pay up for Castro or one of these expensive guys?
It's
Which
like I'm saying, Altuve or Murphy, and then kind of falls to Castro, maybe Peraza just because he's playing Jimenez
I was there. Damn it, Mike. I was gonna get there. Praz is one of my plays today, just because he fits a really nice Cincy stack.
stack. Yeah.
Um,
You can say the same thing about Castro if you're trying to get Kershaw. He just kind of fits this cheap stack.
exactly. So no. Do you look at the White Sox at all? I'm really not looking at this.
I think you
Maybe
can for bombs. I think again, like I'll say it again, Abreu is due for a bomb if he doesn't decide to bunt today.
Garcia.
Maybe he'll get it.
Garcia's hot, dude. He's hot as fuck right now. He has a hit, I think, in every game this year, or He's been on base every game this year. So you can
I
look
will
there.
say again, very limited extra base hits. He had a home run yesterday, but before that, he really hadn't been hitting the ball long. But he's heating up. He is. I think last year was his breakout year. I think no
Mm-hmm.
one really thought that he was going to continue what he did in the second half last year, but he certainly is leads the majors in batting average. So Tanaka hasn't really been much to shy away from as far as attacking early in the year, and he tends to give up the long ball.
Yeah, that's one of his weaknesses. That's for damn sure. We got an interesting game here. Um, we have Rick Porcello for the Red Sox and Francisco Liriano.
Yeah, I
Where
think the price on Porcello is too high for what I would like, but I don't think you're going to get him at any less ownership than you will today, with his price being a little too high than it should, and Bumgarner and Kershaw on the slate against Toronto, who has
yeah,
not been playing well, even though they put up 7 runs yesterday.
and so a couple points here. One, I will not play Porcello. Won't do it. Doesn't strike out enough batters. Prone to give up some home runs. And his price is too high. Everything factors in. that it's not a good play for me in Toronto, and I saw Toronto wake up a little bit yesterday. 2, a play to keep an eye on. Numbers aren't great, right, historically. Kevin Pillar, since he moved to the leadoff spot, has been raking, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Something to keep an eye on.
Since he's
Especially...
got regular playing time, really. I mean,
And for what it's
I
worth,
don't even
he
think it
was...
has anything to do with where he's in the order, but if he's playing every day, we've seen other people,
There's something
once
to
you
be
get...
said about where you are in an order, I think. He's a natural leadoff guy. So maybe he's more comfortable. I don't know. I'm just saying, since he's moved there, I mean, even the start, he didn't start. I mean, the whole team didn't start well at the beginning of the year. Donaldson went down. They moved Pillar up to the leadoff spot, and not well. They don't correlate. Obviously, Travis wasn't doing much, but moved Pillar to the leadoff spot, and down he's been playing well. Last year he was hurt pretty much all of last year. He was playing with a bad thumb, I believe. So can't really. I don't really put that into consideration in terms of why. Or I don't say. I don't view last year as like he's in a regression, but I can look at a Toronto stack today, Mike. They're cheap. Jose Bautista's 3,300 on FanDuel, and he has good numbers against Porcello in his career. 4 home runs off of him. I really, I should retract a little bit. I'm not looking at a stack. I'm looking at a 2-man, and it's Pillar and Jose Bautista. Morales and Tulo don't have good numbers versus Porcello. Morales, as we all know, hits better from the right-handed side. So I'm not looking there, but I can look at Pillar and Bautista today.
It's fair. No, it is. I think you can. I think I wasn't really high on any Toronto bats. Really, they did have a bit of a wake up yesterday, so hopefully, I hope it does continue. Obviously, being a Yankees fan, that yeah, I don't think there's much to feel either like good or bad about, in my opinion, as far as either of these lineups.
Fair. What about a Boston stack? Mookie Betts is coming around very quickly. You have Hanley Ramirez, who eats lefties up. You have Xander Bogaerts, who minus his ISO has really good numbers versus lefties. Chris Young, obviously a notorious lefty split guy. Dustin Pedroia. I mean, where are you looking here?
Man, I'm still going back to Moreland, I think, because his price is now down to 2,900 on DraftKings, which is very cheap. And he had 3 hits yesterday, 3 ribbies. He just continues to be playing really good. Another guy that I think is really benefiting from just not having to worry about it, just getting punched into the 5th spot in this lineup every day. Just goes to work and does the same. He doesn't have to worry about getting moved around in the order or being platooned like he did a bit in Texas. So he seems comfy.
David Ortiz, who?
Exactly.
No, I'm looking at a Mookie Betts. I'm looking at a Hanley Ramirez, and I'm looking at a Bogaerts stack. So those 3 right there. I believe I have those in my lineup. Let me double check. I lied to you. A Xander Bogaerts, Mookie Betts, and Chris Young stack. Oh, no, I didn't lie to you. I was right. I have 2 different Boston stacks, so I actually really like Boston today. I also have I have a Bogaerts, Betts, Young, and then a Hanley, Bogaerts, and Mookie stack. So, all aboard there. I actually really like that Bogaerts is 6 and Young is 7 because that fit that stack that I was going for. So, I'm all for that.
I mean,
do you roster either pitcher? I think we both said we're not rostering Porcello. Is Liriano in the equation? Doesn't give up a ton of home runs.
I was just going to say, Liriano somewhat scares me a bit as far as stacking against him. I don't know about playing him against Boston, but that was the main reason why I was not really diving into this Red Sox lineup as far as finding a stack.
Yep. There is K upside for sure with Liriano, and we talk about that, right? K upside. You saw it last game, 10 strikeouts. So 100% you can look at Liriano. I think he will be extremely low owned going up against Boston, who has been waking up. So something to look at.
Something to look at, I agree.
All right, here's one of my favorite pitchers on this slate, Mike. And I think you and I both agree we really like this kid's stuff. Amir Garrett.
Oh yeah, he's someone I went and stashed in season-long leagues after the Cincinnati game. I don't know if that was his last start or not. However, he looked very good, man. He is a power lefty, and I think if there's a way to attack this Baltimore lineup, who does tend to strike out a good bit. I don't have numbers to back that up, but there are definitely some free swingers on here.
I can get that number right now for you. I know they strike out a ton.
Definitely some free swingers on here, and
Baltimore strikes out 23% of the time, above league average. So
yeah, and there's a lot of righties too, but I think the hard contact rates aren't stellar for the hard thrower going up against a hard thrower. I mean, he's building on some confidence. He's got a nice lineup behind him that can get him some run support, which always for a young kid is going to help his confidence even more. We're talking punts. We're talking fringe game theory type of scenarios anyway. So that's where I'm kind of looking at. If I'm going to punt Amir Garrett, it's because these guys do strike out a lot. He's a power pitcher. His team is favored to score a good bit of runs behind him.
Yep.
So that to me is worthy of a punt, even if he gives up 3 or 4 runs. If he gets 5 to 7 Ks at his price.
And it's something to be said about his stuff if Cincinnati is almost dead even in terms of Vegas line with Baltimore. I know Ubaldo Jimenez is on the hill, but you talk about Baltimore's offensive potential, right? Vegas clearly knows this guy has some stuff. So look there. He definitely will help you fit in some of the more expensive stacks at 7,600 on FanDuel. I could see
I think it's actually honestly more of a DraftKings call because you need to. It's definitely a punt. I mean, it's a hitter's park going up against a pretty good lineup.
So there's that. For what it is worth, Baltimore does hit righties better than lefties. So if you want to factor that in at all. However, I am all over a Cincinnati stack today, Mike. I know Ubaldo Jimenez. This is a tried and true player. We know he's not good anymore. Take him, for whatever reason, his best years were when he was with the Rockies, which is ironic. But again, Jose Peraza, he is not a guy that is going to get you power numbers. There's a reason his numbers here are blood red. No power at all. But I like him to get on base. And then I have a Duval, Schebler, and my punt of the day, Mike, is Tucker Barnhart at catcher. 2,200 on FanDuel, really cheap. Going to allow you to get to the Madison Bumgarner type plays, and anyone against Ubaldo is in play for me.
Yeah, I think after yesterday and relative to with Ubaldo on the mound, their prices are all a little bit high. I imagine their ownership will be as well, but this is definitely one of those 1 through 9, everybody's in play type of lineups against Jimenez. You mentioned Tucker Barnhart, someone I never even looked at to play, but I'm looking at today. Zach Cozart as well. He's been red hot in that 7-hole at shortstop. Somebody I think you can look at today. And then, like you said, with Peraza, I think we already mentioned that there's not much at second base. I think that's kind of why he comes into play in my mind, but also with the steals upside, you got to look Billy Hamilton. I mean, across the board, I think everybody's in play. Eugenio Suarez obviously is having a great year. Duval hit a grand slam yesterday. I don't mind where you go with this. You could go 1 through 4. You could go 4 through. You could go 5 through 8.
So I like a Schebler, Duval. You can fit Votto in there. I love Votto today. Fortunately, he just doesn't fit my lineup. Way too expensive. But he would fit a Amir Garrett lineup, but not a Madison Bumgarner one. But these are cheap, dude. Schebler's relatively cheap for an outfielder. Duval's not bad. I think he's 3.3, and then Peraza's like 3.1, and then Tucker, like I said, Tucker Barnhart 2.2. So you can get those guys in a lineup with Bumgarner for sure. Do you look at a Baltimore stack at all? Trey Mancini leaning off. Does that?
That's the guy I'm looking at, if at all.
Yep.
I think you got. I mean, obviously Jones and Machado against the lefty, the hard throwing lefty. as good as time as any to pluck them out, to hit one out. Trumbo as well. Might as well throw him in there.
Agree.
I was talking to you. Yeah, I was talking to you earlier too, though. Wellington Castillo stands out to me as a guy that obviously hits lefties much better than he hits righties, like an obvious platoon splits player. And if this guy does get roughed up,
he's gonna have something to do with it.
They're gonna go to that. Yeah. Well, no, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying like if this guy gets roughed up, they're gonna go to the bullpen, and now you have a guy in your lineup that you've rostered because he's facing a lefty.
Oh, true.
Against a bullpen that probably isn't going to be throwing lefties at him, just because of those numbers, So
true.
If you're betting on Baltimore to rough up Garrett and you're rostering Castillo, you're only really realistically rostering him for 2 at-bats against a lefty.
That's fair. Detroit and Tampa, you have Chris Archer for Tampa, and Jordan Zimmerman, who got destroyed last time, walked a ton, most in his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very uncharacteristic for. He's generally a good starter and doesn't really have control issues, and so having he walked like 4 guys in April that.
He walked 7 last game. So.
7. Yeah.
So do you
look? It was 4 in a row at some point.
Do you look at either pitcher? Do you look at either team? Is this a complete game fade? Where are you at with this?
Well, I mean, Archer has the potential to be a Cy Young candidate. I truly believe he has that type of stuff. And if you look at his first 3 starts this season, all quality starts with 5 strikeouts or more. Hitters Park.
Where?
So a positive shift. I think there's a positive park shift for the Tigers going to Tampa Bay.
It might be a positive park shift, but it's not a hitter's park.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the ball fly out of there. I mean, it's a dome, so relative to other parks in April.
Relative to Comerica, but, I mean, by the numbers, based on league averages, it does play below the league average in all the categories.
Right. I mean, again, fringe statistic. I'm more talking about his stuff and the fact that he's really played well early on in the season. Now his price obviously reflects that. I don't think it's a
he's priced
great
up.
Price for him. But I think if you're looking for a guy that has potential that probably will be a little bit less owned than others, I don't know. He comes to mind.
I think Chris Archer will be lower owned. He's in that price range where most people will pay up to get Bumgarner or they pay down, especially on FanDuel.
Exactly.
So his price range is going to garner low ownership. He is facing Detroit. They do have a really low implied run total, but the 3, 4, and 5 hitters have some good splits versus righties on the road. You can take that into consideration. I don't think this warrants a stack on the Tigers side at all. I don't want to stack against Chris Archer. I agree with Mike. I think he has electric stuff. The Ks per 9 are no joke. They're consistent across the board. So Chris Archer, 100% in play for me. I like him. I personally do not think I will roster him. I don't know if I get to him today. Like I said, I'm of the mindset that if I get to him, I just pay up for Bumgarner. If I can't, then I just go right down to Amir Garrett. So those are kind of the 2 pitchers I have so far today. Shout out to Lewis is saying the sheets were money, even with King Felix today. So early money.
Some of the early.
Yeah, so congrats, buddy. Hopefully you want some money.
Oh, yeah.
On the Rays side, I can look at Corey Dickerson. I mean, the splits are over 500 plate appearance. 3-year average, right? Corey Dickerson obviously can kill righties at home. You have Brad Miller, who has good splits as well, home run every 17 at bats, and then Evan Longoria. So you can look at a potential stack here. Jordan Zimmerman is a contact pitcher for the most part. He could strike more batters out, obviously, when he was younger. I think he doesn't pitch for the strikeout as often anymore. So I look there. His fly ball percentage is not great, above 35% in 3 of the 5 categories there, or 3 of the 5 situations. So I can look here at this Corey Dickerson, Longoria, Miller stack, and I think it will be extremely low owned.
Yeah, I agree. I think Corey Dickerson, obviously those numbers jump off the page. They have somewhat disappointed. I've definitely one off him against righties in the past, but in the recent past. Another on the Detroit side, like we said, we kind of glazed over these guys. I will mention that if you look at Statcast numbers, they do benefit Castellanos and Victor Martinez as far as exit velocity comparison to their batting average on balls in play. So definitely does suggest that they've been getting a bit slighted to start the season as far as where they're hitting the ball. So maybe not today, something to look at, but something to keep an eye on.
Fair enough. Philly and New York, you have two strikeout pitchers here. I'm very, very interested to see how this game goes because both of these guys have shown potential to get blown up, and both of these guys have shown the potential to have lights out 10 strikeout performance stuff. You're talking about Vince Velasquez, who, I mean, these numbers, look at 10 Ks per nine, over 10 in 3 of the 5 scenarios, over 9 in the other 2, and then Robert Zellman, who averages, he's a right-handed pitcher, reverse split guy so far in his career. 11 Ks per 9 versus lefties, has not given up a home run. 7 Ks per 9 against righties. Obviously struggled a little more. Probably has something to do with the fact that he faces more righties than lefties, but numbers so far have indicated some success. Do you look at either? Do you roster against either?
Yeah, Velasquez, I think, to me, over Gesellman, would be the guy that I'm looking at. I don't really think I'm looking much at Gesellman today just because of
Are you talking rostering or stacking against?
Rostering.
Okay.
I'd rather roster Vince Velasquez. Obviously, he's facing the Mets, who are a much better lineup, but I think Vince Velasquez is a better overall pitcher. However, because of the lineup that Velasquez is facing, I don't want to play him. So for that reason, both of these pitchers are really out of my player pool. As far as Philadelphia, I think you can look at a guy I'm kind of interested in is Cesar Hernandez because what he's been doing as of late. And again, we talked about second base being somewhat of a position to find value at. I mean, he's only 3,100 on DraftKings, and if you look at what he has been doing lately, obviously he has 7 hits in his last 3 games with 2 home runs and 2 stolen bases. Switch hitter. Still really undetermined as to what side he's better at.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're going to one off, he's the guy that's going to get you 5 at bats, and he's got that power speed he's been showing as of late.
What about Freddie Galvis down at the 8-hole?
Yeah, I mean, I think
I have him in a line.
Let's see where his price is.
Extremely cheap on FanDuel.
I'm trying to find him.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe he is.
He's the same. Yeah, see, he's the same price as Cesar Hernandez, and I know I have a couple guys at shortstop that I like today.
Yeah, Freddie Galvis.
So I think if I'm gonna pick, I pick the leadoff guy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, on Draft or FanDuel, they're different positions, so you don't get that choice. So.
Well, no, they're different. They're different positions too. Just.
See, I'm gonna go.
It's just the same. They're the same price.
Fair enough. I went with Galvis because I have a Jose Peraza in that Boston stack I was telling you about. So obviously, it makes more sense for me to go there.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Hernandez's ownership is, just because of this hot streak. I think this, 3 in a row now, 3 in a row good games. Maybe that's like when people start jumping on him because his price hasn't moved.
Fair enough. Aaron Alther is someone to watch out for. Has good numbers. Obviously, I mean, he's shown potential when he gets playing time. The problem is that outfield, there's no playing time for him. So when he gets the at-bats, I think he's going to do something with it. Don't be surprised if he does something today, especially in that that 2-hole. He's got some speed, so look out there. Mike talked about Velasquez. These numbers are real, man. 1.5 home run per 9s to lefties. The wind is blowing out in New York. Jason said it's 11 miles per hour out, so that could help batters, obviously. I don't know if I go a full Mets stack. I mean, they've been killing me. All of last week, they killed me. I don't know if I have 100% confidence in this lineup to go off, but if there is a pitcher to allow that long ball, it's Vince Velasquez, and you have 7 of 9 lefties in this lineup, so is in play. They are in play. I just don't know if I go there. Maybe I take chances on the cheaper guys. I don't know. I personally won't have Mets today, but it's not a bad stack if you want to look at upside.
Yeah, it's tough to figure out the Mets right now.
Washington and Atlanta. Joe Ross is back. I love this guy, man. However, I don't love him today. Not in Atlanta. Has shown potential to get blown up by lefties. A 354 WOBA against 372 OBP, 36% fly balls, and you talk about a park that favors left-handed hitting, namely Freddie Freeman. Nick Markakis obviously has some ability still to pop a ball out of there. I don't think I can pull the strings on Joe Ross today, man. I'm not confident in him in this park. However, same is for Julio Teheran, who has very similar numbers versus lefties and actually gives up twice as many home runs to lefties as he does righties per 9. So, automatically you can look to Eaton, Harper, and Murphy. And Harper, I do have in a lineup as a one-off. I wasn't able to get a full Washington stack, but Harper, I'll take that, man.
You're able to get the Harper in there. Yeah, I think Harper Murphy is always in play. Teheran is their ace. So, he can turn it on if he needs to, but this game's in Atlanta. Ball's been flying out of there early on this season. Murphy and Bryce Harper have both been hot to start the season. I don't have any qualms against it.
Do you roster either pitcher? Yes, no?
That could be interesting to go one of these guys.
I like Joe Ross's stuff more than Teheran's, but like I said, I just don't know if I can roster him. I don't know if I have the balls to do that today.
Yeah, they're neither of them are in the player pool. I'm not going to waste any time talking about those guys.
Real quick, I think Freddie Freeman, again, is an elite one-off today. Dude's hot. Dude's in his home park. Mentioned Joe Ross's struggles versus lefties, so Freeman, more of a one-off for me than anything else. I don't think I stack the Braves. LA and Houston, you talk about J.C. Ramirez, a career reliever.
Yep, that 2 a.m. girl.
Definitely stackable against.
That's right. They're just hoping that he just comes in and doesn't suck.
So
obviously you stacked Kansas City against him last time out. That was the way to go in that particular slate. Vegas tends to agree. And I think you can go. I've been trying to toy around with where my stacks are to Houston today. I think this is something I'm looking at. Obviously, I like Altuve. There is no Carlos Correa.
Yep.
Brian McCann. I think this is only the second time that him and Gaddis are in the lineup together. I think people are going to be on McCann today, and that's just I think that has to do with
lefty versus righty.
Yeah.
Tucker asked, do we prefer Votto or Freeman? You know what? Let me put it this way. If you are looking for a one-off, I think I prefer Freeman. If you are looking to fill a stack, so if you're going to stack Cincinnati, I think Votto makes sense. If you have the salary for either, I think it makes sense to fit the stack in there.
Yeah, but if I'm paying up, I don't know that I'm paying up to either one of those guys as far as a one-off today.
Fair enough. I can get.
It depends on how many really lineups you're building. Like, I think I would rather. I'd rather pay up. Like right now, I have Daniel Murphy as a one-off. I'd rather pay for him than Freddie Freeman.
Okay. Cubs just tied the game. Chris Bryant single.
He got one. Yay. I don't know. Again, another guy I think I'd rather pay for is George Springer against J.C. Ramirez. And if you're going for a one-off, the leadoff guy, he is tied for the lead league in home runs in the majors right now.
7. Yep.
Just very hot against, again, a career reliever. It's gonna be like pitcher by committee today for LA.
So Houston stack definitely in play. I like Dallas Keuchel as well.
What about Josh Reddick, man? That 2-hole right behind
Yep, I was sorry.
George Springer. I
Springer,
think that's a
Reddick,
nice little.
Springer, Reddick, Altuve, or
Yeah, I think
Springer,
that this.
Springer, Reddick, Gaddis, Springer, Reddick, McCann. You can make stacks out of that. I like Reddick in the 2-hole, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the stack that I'm going to be leaning on today a good bit.
Mike Trout, I think, is a one-off play. Someone to look at as a potential punt is Jeffrey Marte. He's batting cleanup against Dallas Keuchel, who, again, I'm not advocating to play against Dallas Keuchel, but if you want to go numbers,
Hmm.
potential here, guy with power, and batting cleanup, you can look at
Yeah,
Marte, and he has that short left field porch.
I could get there too. 3,300 on
He's
DraftKings.
cheap.
Like you said, middle of that order. There's a couple guys. You've got Castellanos and Pablo Sandoval also at 3,300 for third baseman.
I won't roster Sandoval on the right side, not against
Um,
Liriano.
I'm just saying like that's definitely something that's going to keep his ownership down.
Well, I think his
People are
ownership's going
looking.
to be down anyway. I just don't think people know who Jeffrey Marte is.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that people know who Sandoval and Castellanos are the same price.
Yeah. So, punt to look at. Watch for that one as well. I talked about Tucker Barnhart. That is another one of my favorite punts. This game is not being played. We'll just move on. All right, San Fran
What
and
game is that?
Cleveland and Minnesota. Game has been postponed.
Right.
San Fran and Kansas City. You have two pitchers who have been doing well. Jason Vargas has been pitching really, really well to start the year. Not a high strikeout guy, so that worries me a little bit. You add in the fact that he doesn't get strikeouts and San Francisco does not strike out. I don't know the upside here. So, pitching really well in real life. Don't know if I roster him for DFS. Madison Bumgarner knows these Royals. Very similar lineup to the lineup he shut down in the World Series. So you look at his splits versus lefties. Three of the first four batters are lefties. Obviously, those are their some of their best bats, right? You get down to Whit Merrifield, Alcides Escobar, Chesler, Cuthbert. I don't know if any of those guys really scare me versus Bumgarner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll make the argument that Bumgarner is a better play today than Clayton Kershaw, given the lineup that he's facing and the park that he is in.
I think the one concern I had with Bumgarner was the strikeout potency of Kansas City.
They're not a huge
I don't
strikeout team.
really, yeah, they don't strike me as someone. They don't strike me. They don't strike me as a team that.
For what it's worth, they're actually striking out above average right now, 23%.
Really.
Yep. So if you value this year's stats as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to average,
Absolutely.
so there's that. Obviously, Lorenzo Cain hits lefties well, but Bumgarner is no average lefty. Um, Whit Merrifield has some good numbers versus lefties, but again, it's Bumgarner, so remember that. I don't know, man. I think Bumgarner has a better game than Kershaw today. I do. I'd rather face the
Yeah,
Royals than the Rockies.
I agree. No, I completely agree with you. Um, what are your thoughts on the San Francisco lineup, man? I think there could be some stack potential here. Um,
Buster Posey career has destroyed lefties. I mean, not just absolutely sees the ball extremely well out of lefties' hands, right? So you have that working in his favor. Um, Hunter Pence, same, does really well versus lefties. Brandon Crawford is actually a reverse split guy.
mhm.
Not over his career. He's over the past couple years slowly started to get to that point. So he is now a better hitter versus lefties than he is righties. So you do have that into play. This park does play better for left-handed batters than it does righties. I don't know, man. I can get behind Pence, Posey, Crawford, maybe Nick Hundley down at the 7 hole, but that is an expensive stack as well. Buster Posey is the most expensive catcher on the slate at, I believe, 3,900. That is rough for me to pay for, especially a catcher.
um, yeah, it's worth noting toward the end of this game, it looks like there could be some possible rain, but that is because up to the start of the game right now, the wind is blowing out close to 20 miles an hour out to left. So does that scare you at all with Bumgarner?
Addison Russell
With the
just
wind
hit
blowing out.
a 3-run home run to walk off. That's awesome. I didn't have Addison
Good
Russell.
for the Cubs.
That just knocked me out of cash everywhere.
What a bum.
Oh, god damn it. Oh well. No, it doesn't scare me.
I was just saying it's worth mentioning, with the wind blowing out in
100%.
I don't know how many people look at that as far as when they're rostering players. But
You're right.
when it's up to that high, I definitely take it into consideration.
Arizona and San Diego. We saw Shelby Miller have a game last night. Does Zach Greinke follow that up? Pitchers Park? Extreme Pitchers Park.
Yeah, I think you can definitely attack this lineup. Like I said the other day, or was it yesterday? Actually, I think I played him yesterday. Anyway, yeah, San Diego, obviously Pitchers Park. San Diego, obviously AAA lineup.
Minus a few hitters, yep.
Well, just a few guys. So, yeah, I think Greinke, his price is a little cheaper than what he's done this season as well.
Greinke's not a good pitcher. He's not a great pitcher at all.
No, he's not.
He's kind of fallen off a little bit from his Dodger days, but I mean, if Shelby Miller can go out and do this yesterday, then Greinke has the full potential to. You take out Margot. Yeah. The first two hitters don't scare me at all. Myers, Solarte, and Schimpf, and maybe Renfroe are really the only guys that I'm looking at as potential threats to Greinke. But I think the park obviously plays in his favor. He does still have strikeout potential, so there's that. But, yeah. And then Wallace Chesson, this is a guy you can attack. So I think Peralta, Goldschmidt, and Lamb are all in play. I don't know. Again, it's an expensive stack, so you're going to have to find a way to get a cheap pitcher in there. Yasmani Thomas really not on the board for me, not against a righty, so you got to kind of figure out where you want to go here. But if you roster that stack, you got to find a cheap pitcher because you're not getting them in with Bumgarner.
I'm talking about Arizona. Yeah, I don't think I'm on that. Not today with the pitchers on this slate in San Diego. I think there's a couple guys I look at. I think Jake Lamb is one that stands out.
100%. Jake Lamb's a great play. It's just a matter of can you fit him. I mean, he's $3,900 on FanDuel. That is a very exorbitant price.
He's the exact same price on DraftKings, so definitely getting some savings over on DraftKings.
So yeah, Zach Greinke in play, Arizona stack in play. Not looking at anyone on Colorado really. Maybe Will Myers is a one-off, but I'm not excited about that. Colorado and Los Angeles, lowest run total on the slate for a game. You have Tyler Anderson going for Colorado, who the Dodgers lit up this year, and Clayton Kershaw, who doesn't need very much explained.
He knows it all. No one explains him to anything.
Lol. So what do you look at here, Mike?
Clayton Kershaw against Colorado. We talked about again. I like if you're fading Kershaw, like doubling down with Arenado. But other than that, man, I don't really know that I like much. Forsythe is considered day to day, so we don't know that he will be in this lineup against a lefty. Obviously, he's one of their lefty guys that he jumps all the way to the top, and that's why I would imagine he's probably projected to lead off today if he plays. Puig been playing well. Turner's been playing well. Seager has the matchup. I could get behind some Dodgers today.
Okay, I can see it. I mean,
but I'm not in love with it.
Yeah, I mean it's still a left-handed pitcher. Still struggles a team versus one. But I can see the play here. I tend to believe Vegas though. I don't think either team scores a ton of runs here. I think this Colorado run line of 2. I don't know. That's interesting to me. I mean, 2 home runs and that's already met. So that's going to be interesting. I think Story is still a one-off. He's never faced Kershaw in his career, so there is that, surprisingly. At least not to my BVP numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If he has, I haven't seen it. So you can look there again. He is batting 7th, which I don't like as much. I think I really don't get behind a Dodger stack today. You can make the argument for it. I personally just won't do it. But Kershaw obviously is in play. There's nothing more to be said there. So, give me your 3 favorite pitchers of the night. Let's do our daily recap. 3 favorite pitchers of the night.
All right.
Price to point.
Let's
Or
do
price to dollar. God damn it.
price to dollar.
Point per dollar. Point per dollar.
Price to dollar. Yeah, I think I agree with you. If I'm paying up over 10K between Kershaw, Bumgarner, and Porcello, it's Bumgarner, but the win does scare me a bit. And again, I mentioned the strikeout potency, so that's why I kind of went down. And so I kind of fell into the triumvirate, I guess you could say, of Archer, Keuchel, and Greinke.
Okay.
I think all 3 of these guys have considerable question marks. I think Greinke's facing the worst team, but probably has the most question marks as a pitcher.
Mm-hmm. The upside,
and I think Archer has I think Archer has the most upside, but he's playing probably the best team out of the 3 guys.
I agree with that.
So definitely a tournament type of slate when you're talking about pitchers. There's really nobody that really stands out like there was yesterday. And that, to me, makes me just want to try to find a way to get up to Kershaw just for the safety. But I haven't been able to build a lineup that I like enough to get there. So I'm thinking about just keeping it light and playing in tournaments and hoping that 2 of these guys... another guy I can throw into that 3-pack is Liriano as another tournament upside type of player.
Forsyth was placed on the DL. Nice.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll play...
placed on 10-day DL for his toe. So,
what do you think they slide in there?
Probably Chase Utley.
Probably.
Not that that's their favorite move against the lefty, but second base.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who they're going to have lead off. Or maybe they throw on Andrew Tolles. I don't know. Going to be interesting. But
definitely going to be interesting. Yeah, I mean, they have Kiki Hernandez, who's played some middle infield, and he's a righty. What were we talking about? Pitchers. And then at the bottom, like we talked about, Amir Garrett has a lot to like as far as stuff. But again, it's kind of has to all click for him today, I think. Another guy we really didn't talk about, because I mentioned San Francisco, someone I like, but Jason Vargas, he's been playing very well this season.
That's what I'm saying, dude. The only problem I see with him is the K upside. San Francisco doesn't strike out a ton, and then you add in the fact that he's not a strikeout pitcher, so limited
right,
upside.
So I think those are the 2 guys. If I'm punting, I'm going to go there.
Okay. My favorite pitcher is Madison Bumgarner. No homerism there. I just think, like I said, facing the I think the Kansas City offense has less potency than the Rockies do, and he's cheaper. So that I love Amir Garrett today. I think that's my cheap pitcher of the day. I like his stuff, so I go there. And then Vince Velasquez is kind of that guy. Even with the wins in New York, I just like the K upside, so I can look there. Might try and build a line with him in it. My favorite stacks of the day are going to be the Cincinnati Reds. Again, I like that cheap stack of Peraza, Duvall, Schebler, Barnhart. I like a Washington stack if you can get to it. Harper, Murphy, Eaton. And then I really like a Houston stack, obviously against JC Ramirez. So those are my 3 favorite stacks.
My favorite stack, I think, is going to be Houston against Ramirez. I like Springer, Reddick, Altuve. I'm going to jump off McCann just because I don't really believe in the hype of McCann. And I think people are going to be on him. Not really sure what I'm going to do at catcher as of the moment. I'm trying to kind of figure that out right now. But I also do. I don't know. I could get behind San Francisco. I'm thinking about trying to do a 2-man with Posey and Crawford, just because those two positions I couldn't really find much to like. But kind of under the radar, I think I could get behind. I guess San Francisco would be a little bit under the radar. But yeah, I think the chalky stack today is probably going to be against Jimenez, right?
Yeah.
Probably this Cincinnati Reds lineup. I could also see the cheap stack in New York having some ownership again today with some aces on the slate.
Yeah, definitely. I like a cheap New York stack. Like I said, I can fit that in.
Yeah. Pretty easy to fit in that one. What about your favorite studs overall?
Favorite Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper. I think he's an elite play against Tehran in that ballpark. Freddie Freeman in that same game, I think, is a great play. I think Joey Votto, elite matchup. I think I love Mookie Betts today as well. I do. And then Jake Lamb versus Wallace Chesson. So those are my five studs.
So Harper and Betts are like the same price on DraftKings.
I'd go Harper.
Yeah, I think you go Harper there. I think Votto definitely stands out if you're trying to get a one-off and still get some exposure to that stack there. Yeah, I think cheap one-offs. I mentioned Greg Bird. I think he's a good cheap one-off today. Trying to get a bomb out of him. And I like that Hernandez guy in Philly.
Oh, gotcha.
As a cheap one-off.
All right. Well, thank you guys as always. We got about 5 minutes to lock. So any last minute questions, throw out them. You like a red stack today, an O's stack? I'm not really on an O stack at all. Yankees I am. Red Sox I can get behind as well.
I can get behind an O stack today. I mean, I guess I really do like that pitcher, and I think that he'll get some tournament ownership today for his price.
Who?
Amir Garrett.
That's what I'm saying. How can you like an O stack if you like Garrett though?
Well, because I think a lot of people otherwise will as well. And I mean, still, it's only 2 starts, and it is a big righty hitting lineup against a lefty in a hitter's park. So people are going to be on that pitcher. Not really. I mean, I like them both, but in baseball, I think it's probably more likely that Baltimore gets to Garrett than Garrett gets to Baltimore.
I don't see.
But I think either scenario can happen.
I don't see Garrett being high owned at all. I don't think people stack against Baltimore. Pitch against Baltimore.
I think on DraftKings it will. If people are going to Kershaw, man, at 3,800 or 13.8, there's really not much else to like besides Vargas that is like under 7K.
It'll be
for your SP2.
It'll be interesting. Like I said, at least on FanDuel, I don't see high ownership at all for Garrett. We'll find out in a couple minutes, but
yeah, it could just be on DraftKings. Now that I'm thinking about it. It probably will, just because you have to roster 2, and if people really want to get to Bumgarner and Kershaw, you really got to go down there unless you're going to punt most of your hitters.
So DraftKings obviously a little different with the ownership, and that'll be interesting to watch.
Definitely. Do you have a favorite lineup maybe you want to give out here?
I'm still toying with it right now. It's actually what I'm doing. Really don't know what I want to throw in there.
I think I've settled on a lineup. I've been toying it as well. The only thing I don't really like about it is there's not really much of a stack in it.
37.
I have a couple 2-man stacks. So
Mike, this is for you. $3,200 third baseman.
$3,200 third baseman. Goodness. Really not much here. You got Escobar facing Keuchel, but he leads off, so there's that. He has that going for him. Yeah, I think that's really the only guy that I would think to play. I mean, I don't really want Jace Peterson, Cheslor Cuthbert. Yeah. Aaron Hill leading off for San Francisco at 2-2.
I think I'll skip that.
Yeah, me too. I think you just gotta if that's where you're. I would try and reevaluate your lineup a bit and try to get up to Marte at 3-3. If you can try and drop $100 somewhere, that's what I would do.
Wow, Ichiro just hit a fucking home run.
Hey,
that's how.
That's awesome.
That's pretty much today's early slate.
That's how today's gone, huh?
Sorry, luckily no one had him. At least not that I see. So. Doesn't affect me, but still, it's kind of funny. Yeah, man, I don't think I have anything else. Oh man, dude.
Yeah, I'm going with Archer and Greinke. I mentioned I wanted to pick 2 out of those 4 pitchers. That's what I'm gonna do. Again, the fact that I couldn't get up to, the fact that I couldn't really get up to Kershaw and enjoy my lineup enough, sticking with it and playing light and going in tournaments, kind of what I've been doing anyway.
Yeah. Like I said, I've always said though, man, baseball, Peraza or Pedroia. I go if you have a red stack, I think you go Peraza. Otherwise, I go Pedroia if it's just a one-off.
Yeah, if it's just a one-off, I would go Pedroia as well.
So.
He plays well in Toronto. I wonder. Since I'm really going to play light, it makes me want to play Liriano now. I don't really have time to fix that, but
yeah, you
just so I can root against the Red Sox.
You have 5 seconds. So if you manage to somehow fix that, and now it's lost.
I don't think I have enough time to fix that now. I mean, obviously we have late swap though.
You do. So, all right. Well,
but, not for that game.
We have locked. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. I apologize again about the internet. Obviously, that threw a little wrinkle or a wrench in the plans, but glad we got it back. And we will talk to you guys in Slack as always. If you enjoyed the video, throw that little thumbs up button sign. Subscribe if you have not already. We will be in Slack if you would like that subscription to these sheets. Just click that link down below. We'll get you in there, get you in Slack. That's the place to be. All of you guys that are since joining, we'll also send out that DFS 101 guide.
So if you guys are interested in joining, we'll get you that. Probably one of the first things you'll get from us is some content about where to start.
Exactly. So we'll take care of you guys, get you in there. But yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will talk to you later. Good luck today. And
best of luck.
Have fun.